Okay, so good evening from Melbourne. It's a very warm one today. We're in the middle of summer at the moment, so I can't really expect much other than having warm weather. And speaking of warm weather, I'm sending my prayers and love to the people who are in Los Angeles who are experiencing the fires. So I pray for all the animals and the trees and nature and the people who have lost their lives, unfortunately, and also whose houses have been harmed. So we're certainly, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of Sanji and myself that we're keeping everybody in our prayers and sending lots of thoughts and healing love
Yeah.
to them. So thank you for joining us. Tonight's open conversation. So we decided to continue with the theme of living consciously, and we have reached 2025. So I
25.
want to say, Sandy, Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you so much. Wish you a happy new year and everybody who's watching, no?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Sandy. Yes, wishing everybody a Happy New Year. And our topic, sort of our subtopic underneath the Living Consciously main banner, I could say, is tonight is about setting intentions in within our internal landscape. And the
Mhm.
reason I really wanted to discuss this and sort of unpack it a little bit more is because, and I do it myself. I'm sure that we all do it in some way, shape, or form. We come to the end of a year and we start thinking about reviewing the year, and we start thinking about how we want the coming year to change, what sort of changes we might want. It might be that we're looking at a different type of work. It might
Mhm.
be that we're looking for I don't know, examples, upgrading our lives in some way, shape, or form. Might be that we're looking for a different relationship or more friendships, or it could be anything. However, I often think that these intentions or New Year's resolutions are based on material things. So they're things that are outside in our
Mhm.
external landscape. So um, Sanji and I have had a brief discussion about this, but I'll just try and make it as clear as I can. And please forgive me because this is the first time I've discussed this in this sort of forum. So I've done a lot of consideration, like reflection about these topics, but I haven't actually used words to describe it so
Mhm.
much. So it's actually going to be good for me. It's a good exercise. It'll be a little bit challenging for me, but please feel free to ask any questions if you
Mhm.
have questions about what I'm talking about. So I see that there's different sort of realms in our earthly existence. So we've got our external landscape, which is everything outside of our body. I guess that's one way of putting it, our physical body, our energetic body. And then we've got our internal landscape, which is what's inside us. So it could be the way we see things from our mind's point of view or our mind's eye. It could be our heart. It could be our soul.
Mhm.
And so I feel that it's been my experience in my life that when I have worked on sort of like clearing out or cleansing or purifying or healing what's inside me,
Mhm.
then what's outside me changes. So, what I am, I guess, posing as a question is perhaps for people to think about. So I'm not saying that there's right or wrong. Everybody has their own
Mhm.
journey, their own personal decisions, personal responsibility. However, I'm just posing and putting it out there that perhaps if we want to change what's outside uh, and our experience of the sort of physical realm of the world that we first work on what's inside. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm talking about setting intentions for our inner landscape. So is that fairly clear, Sanji, for you?
Yeah, yeah, surely.
Yeah, it's clear for
Uh,
you. All
and
right.
Anthea, please,
Yeah,
give us a small summary about yourself. Uh,
sure. Okay. All right. So, well, I've grown up in and lived in Australia my whole life. I have traveled to quite a few countries and spent a lot of time in Indonesia, and I have quite a few Indonesian friends, specifically in Bali and Bali's sister island, Lombok. I've also traveled to Qatar in the Middle East. I have traveled to France and London and Thailand, just a very brief stay. Uh, so I'm 52 years of age. I have been married, so I was married for about 17 years. Unfortunately, my late husband became very sick with cancer, and he survived the cancer. However, through that process, he developed depression and committed suicide and took his own life. And from that, at that point in time, my heart was really struggling, and I was looking for inner peace. And this really links to this topic. So I was looking for something inside. I was wanting to strengthen myself inside. And at that time, I had a very good friend who is still a friend now, who's a very good person.
mhm.
He's actually from Sri Lanka. He's a Sri
Oh.
Lankan man,
Mhm,
and he is a Muslim person.
mhm,
And he suggested that I explore Islam.
mhm,
And I had been exploring different types of religions and spirituality before that. And
mhm,
I was very open to other different types of faiths. I had been raised as a Catholic or a Christian, and I'd really loved having a close relationship with God and praying and singing and going to church as a little girl, but sort of grew up and questioned things as a lot of people do. So I I made the decision to accept Islam, and it was one of the best decisions that I ever made because it really has helped to give me inner peace, and it's really helped to support me through a lot of challenges in my life. So more grief and loss, losing my mother and father,
mhm,
and also a number of friends during the pandemic. Uh, so I can also share that I have experienced chronic pain over the past 18 years, which has really sort of shaped my life and slowed me down
mhm,
because when I started experiencing chronic pain, nerve pain, uh, it meant that I really had to stop. I was in a really busy, a really high pressured job,
uh-huh,
and I started experiencing a lot of anxiety, which wasn't normal for me. And I had been sort of making my way through life, doing what I felt that society expected of me. I studied at university, and I had worked for the government for 12 years, and I was earning really good money and ticking all the boxes that I thought were the right way to do it. But God, I say God, the universe, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, that's, it's
mhm,
up to each of us. Basically, I was made to stop and reconsider what might the path I was going on.
mhm.
And since then, it's been a different path. It's been much more about being more self-aware and being conscious. And I guess living consciously is like a motto for my life, because I now make a point of living slowly, basically because that's what I have the capacity for. But
Mm.
I also believe it's a blessing, because we can get caught up in the rat race of life. And some people are so busy just trying to earn money and send their kids to school and keep up with other people and pay the bills and whatever else they have, commitments they have in their life, that they don't even have time to think about what they're doing.
Mhm.
So, and for me, I really need time to reflect and consider what's going on and understand to the best of my ability what's going on in life. So
Mhm.
that's something about me.
Mhm.
I'll hand it over to you, because
Oh.
I feel like I've just been
No,
going
no,
like,
it's okay, it's okay.
oh, oh.
Yeah, yeah, I think
I'll
it's
hand it over to
more about in a landscaping building, no, about these life stories and all these things, no, and it can
you.
inspire a
Yes,
lot of people. So
yes,
a little bit. I'm Sanjivana. I'm from Sri Lanka, and many people call me Sanji because it's easier to say. I'm a meditation teacher. We do like life coaching for counseling, spiritual, more toward a spiritual way. I was a monk for a very long time, and so now it's like open approach, and I try to help as much as people from any kind of difficult situations. Because it's always like mind and body, you know. So it's work in any scenario. It's we can try to help. So there are the difficult cases. There's this easier ones, no, to handle, and because you try to work with yourself, like you mentioned, and in life you go through a lot of things also, no. I Yeah, I remember like yeah, since we were talking about this topic, so I remember like there was a nice example, like think like somebody comes and dumps like a truckload of dung in front of your front door. What would you do? So and then life actually dumps a lot of truckloads of dung, and then some people can shout about it, or like go to the police and try to find who's the culprit, or like shout, or blame, point fingers, all these things. But they say like somebody would take a shower and they would like slowly start burying this dung, uh, and then after, because it's like very pungent and no smelly and no, but later this turns into fertilizer, and then the trees and everything just flourish, right? So maybe one shower at a time, no, or one at a day, it will be difficult. But and then they say like some very good masters who were there, and or even this author had said, no, like he also has met many people, inspiring people in his life, and he said like I can imagine how many truckloads of dung these good authentic teachers have, because they can cater or like help, try to help, because they know, no, when something's happening to somebody, they also feel, because they also went through it, right? That doesn't mean everybody has to suffer and become try to help, but when you go through the experience and you come out of it, in a way you feel it more. Oh, I was also there, no. For example, if you see a hungry person, if you have been felt that hunger a lot, and how you felt the like how even the desperation, or the sense of, you know, and and then okay, like you know the difficulty, okay, just like then you want to help even more, right? So
you.
it could be money, anything, no. So then likewise, yeah, I think talking about inner landscaping is a perfect topic in when you are at the start of 2025, no?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful
excellent,
topic.
wonderful, wonderful. So I just picked up on what you were saying, and about empathy and really feeling for other people, that when we've had hardships or challenges ourselves, and then we can really feel like walk in the other person's shoes. And so, for example, if we've been very lonely or we've experienced grief or hunger, as you said, or perhaps we've had struggled, we haven't had enough money. If we've experienced those things, we can really have a really deep level of empathy with other people. And I feel that that's a blessing, and it helps us to connect, and it helps for us to stay humble as well, because I think that they're really qualities that are really important, as I feel also that kindness is really, really important. It's so crucial and essential for us to be kind to ourselves and to other people and to plants and animals and Mother Earth and nature. And even down to considering, I was reading something on social media, I think yesterday. Yes, it was Jane Goodall, the lady who has worked so closely with the gorillas in the jungles. And she was saying, like, when we're making decisions about what we're buying or consuming, to think about what's the effect on the planet, what's the effect on the planet of the production of this particular product. For example, plastics are not great for the environment. So, and just really considering, and it comes back to what I was saying before about living consciously and taking time to think about our actions. And they talk about our footprint on the environment. And also in Islam, I've done a lot of study, and I've found that it's really a faith that promotes continuous learning and teaching what you learn and sharing what you learn with other people. And they talk about walking gently on the earth. And that's something that I'm aware of as well, trying to walk as gently as I can. And something else I wanted to share is that when I was mentioned to you before we started our conversation tonight, that I had travelled back from one of my jobs that I have. And I travel on the train, and at this one particular train station, and this is, again, I'm starting to giggle because this is showing my age, but yeah, anyway, because we were talking about telegrams before and social media before, and anyway, so there are a lot of pigeons.
Pigeons.
And pigeons were used like in the past and in the wars to carry messages. And so the pigeons were I guess they had their jobs and to be messenger pigeons, but they have basically been let out. They're not pets by the people who owned them, but there's a lot of them in Melbourne. And I really love them, and I talk to them, and I've learned a little bit more about them, and apparently they're very clever and they remember people who are kind to them. So when I go past, especially on the hot days, there's like a water fountain where you can fill up a water bottle, and there's a bowl, like a little metal container, and so I fill it up for the pigeons, so the pigeons can have a bath, and so that they can drink. And it's something that's quite small, but I actually saw somebody else do it, and then I make a habit of doing it because it's about caring for other life forms, and being kind. And I know what it's like to be thirsty and hot, and the pigeons feel it, so I try and help them out as well.
Yeah. We also do, Anthea, here. Like we give food, and they say like even the first mouthful we separate it, and even the last one we separate it, if possible more even. So at
Yes.
least we say like separate a mouthful. Uh, know the amount you take consume, and then the first at least and the last, and then we keep like even hot seasons we keep water in vessels, and even like talking about, yeah, many traditions talk about like not being a weight for Mother Earth.
Yes.
So even the stepping, like because we can go in anger, right? We can walk in anger.
Mhm.
And then there are meditations also, like walking meditations. Uh, to think like you're walking, actually, it is like in kind of way. Say you are, if possible, you don't do that, but it's like if there's a massive whale or something, no? Uh,
Okay.
and if you get to walk on its back, uh,
Yeah.
you feel, no, like this is a living being, no? Not that you want to step on it, no? So likewise, just think like the earth. So it's alive, right? There are many beings, no, many things and plants and all these things. So many traditions say, and actually there are sometimes now it's so common in media and all these things. Actually, they used to call it some tragedy that the even Mother Earth could not bear, because she bears everything from corpses, our toilet stuff, and all the discarded water, all the trash we put. Still, she's so kind, no? Uh,
Yes.
and she tries to cradle us all and like keep in her arms. Whatever we do, was all this nonsense, no, all this
Yes.
stuff, but still, and you dig it, no, you burn it, you do all possible things, right? But
Mm.
still, it delivers, it gives, no, it supports us, it keeps us, no. So,
Yes.
but there are some things like even she cannot bear, no. So there are things like earthquakes. So they say at least keep your feet in a way like it's not disturbing uh,
Yes.
the earth. Keep it in a
Mm.
very gentle and kind way. And
Yes.
I remember like when we were monks also, our some good teachers say like if you see some hardworking person and if you are going with an umbrella, you put it down as respect.
Okay.
That is just to show like acknowledgement, like we also feel it, no?
Yes.
You support us, and also in some other way, no, maybe they pay the taxes and then it goes to the government, and then they bring food from somewhere in a long run even, no, and
Mm.
then it comes to the grocery, another person buys that, and then no, it can happen, no, in a long way.
Yes.
Then so somehow we are all connected in such a way, so to show respect.
Mhm.
And so if even if you're going like very cozy under an umbrella, and if they are working in the scorching sun and all, it doesn't matter who they are. If they are
Mm.
like so just lower it until you pass at least, and then if
Yes.
you want, like if you have some headache or something, use it and go. So
Yes.
yeah, many I think many wholesome things, no, are in
Mm.
many places, and good humans always tend to do this knowingly or unknowingly. Even children, right? You see them like going and feeding, and even snakes they feed sometimes. Really.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are many stories also. And they also have a natural tendency to just the instinct to help. No?
Yes.
So we all carry that, no? So regarding the thing like the topic you selected, when you say landscaping, we usually relate it to like gardening. No,
Yes.
and it could be a barren land or like with weeds or something. Sometimes people hire people who are qualified, right? And they
That's.
make that surroundings cater to each person's preferences. They
Mm.
could need a pond, or they could need some trees, or one tree in that corner, or fruit trees, or flower trees, no? And they
Yes.
fix it, no? So regarding, was it something like that you want to bring up through the topic, like inner growth that goes it, because if you make the garden properly and if you keep it well maintained, it's a blessing, no, to the house also. And yeah,
Yeah.
please.
So that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it that much, but I really appreciate what you're saying. So it could be that we want to design our inner landscape. So it
Mhm.
might be that we want to draw a little plan of how we would like it,
Mhm.
and visualize it as a garden. And we could have particular type of flowers, maybe our favorite flowers in one area, and we could have like some trees for shade in another area where we can rest. And we might want to grow some vegetables or some crops or some rice or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it really depends on our own preferences. Um, yeah, so for sure, we can fill it. We can fill our inner landscape with whatever makes us happy. Mm,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah. And how would you
definitely.
recommend for yourself, or like what to do? I'll also tell, and then I don't want to put you like in a deep end or send you a curveball or something, no? Like Australian cricket or something, no? The googly or something. Then you're like,
Yeah,
not like
yeah,
that. Just like be
okay.
free to like we do it in a very flexible and uh, very comfortable way. So yeah.
I think for me, so working on my inner landscape is something that I've been doing consciously for probably about 4 or 5 years,
Mm.
but I think I've been doing it longer than that, but not being able to put words to it. So I think, first of all, to acknowledge that we have an inner landscape.
Mhm.
So to tune into our hearts, to know that we can see things with our mind, we can visualize things. That's a very powerful way of, I believe, manifesting things in the world. So acknowledging and realizing perhaps the power that we actually have through our words, through our actions, through our visualizations, um, tuning in with our soul. And there's so many ways that we can do that. But I think even to have the intention and to acknowledge that there's that we're essentially spiritual beings having an experience in a body on earth rather
Mhm.
than human beings with a spirit having an experience. I might have put that a bit clumsily, but
No, no,
I
it's okay.
think I think the
Yeah,
main
yeah.
essence of us is that we're spiritual beings,
Uh-huh.
and not everybody sees it that way, and that's okay. Everybody's different, but it's certainly more and more how I've been seeing and viewing life. So if we're spiritual beings, first and foremost, it's really important to nurture and nourish ourselves as spiritual beings, and to treat others with kindness and empathy as spiritual beings. And so by nourishing our own inner landscape, that's a way of really, really loving ourselves and being kind to ourselves and making our experience on the planet more peaceful. Hmm.
Mhm. Okay, okay.
So that's what I'm going to respond to your curveball.
No,
However,
no.
I don't like it, so I can't do it, but I know what you're talking about.
I just try to design it in couple of layers. Over the
Yeah.
time, I just before in different age times you want different things. Not actually you need even. And you try out different things, no? But I was like a monk for a very long time, so it's very so if somebody asks like if you are under a rock, yeah, I was under a rock. No? So and then but in society we have to be honest, no? And then there's a way of like existence also. So I would like to like if this was my inner garden, I would like structure it in like maybe 3 layers. One layer would be the innermost layer, most innermost layer. like if it was a garden, no? And that will be like the spiritual upbringing, even enlightenment and all these things, no? And then the second layer, the second and third can shift anytime. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, then the second layer usually is like to help the people, usually. But I'm telling it's because shifting, because these are coexistent and it has a connection. And the third
Yeah.
layer will be like for existence itself, no? So even sometimes for to help people, you need something in, no? For example, if there's some poor person or somebody asking for something, you cannot just, they need sometimes more than words, right? So
Yes.
maybe some financial or some things they need, some medicines. So for that you also should have something, no? And for you also to exist, no? Like, and then you can. So I try to keep it super simple, and my main goals are like the things like in spirituality, or the things, no, like happy, the ultimate happiness, or like, no, or like peace, ultimate peace. Then if I have it, I can deliver it to somebody else also, no? If I'm not, I cannot do it, no? And
Yeah.
then the next layer or next surrounding will be the trying to help. So it is very, how to say, very pleasing not to have some self gratification or satisfaction. It does, it brings some, no? But most of all, like genuinely, if we try to help somebody, because we don't have a lot of time on our hands, right? We are not forever, no? So why not help? We don't have to showcase these things or anything. But and end of the time, and usually sometimes even if you help, if something, just one thing goes in a different way, uh, they are some of the easiest thing, they can become angry with you.
Mhm.
So recently, it's, I think we are in the verge of something like that now. But there's a family like I helped a lot, and so they have gone abroad for like work, and everybody said don't go. And now this person wants to come back, it seems, and then they have to pay a big fee or something. And now they are
Yeah.
trying to contact me and trying to like, come on, right? And then all those things will be forgotten, and
Yeah.
they'll say you didn't help in the crucial time, no?
Mm.
So it can easily happen. So but we never ask this person to go, or like then there are more victims of like human trafficking and all. This person is not in a troubled state also.
Yes.
So they have to pay compensation and get this person back, and it's this person is coming back for no reason actually.
Yes.
So they had lied to many people. They didn't tell us even. Not that they have to inform everything to us. No, but it's not reasonable, right? And
Mm.
we didn't ask them to go there or anything, no?
Yeah.
And when everything seems right, they didn't even utter a word. And
Yes.
now when things are wrong, and they like come and I will start calling you, or knocking on the gate and start telling. So yeah, so if one thing sometimes goes wrong, they tend to become like all those good things you did are forgotten.
Yes.
So you have to expect that. Uh, yeah. So, but you still keep on want to keep on helping, no? Uh,
Mm.
and the other thing is like we have to make a structure, because either you have to grow your own stuff, no? Or which is a good alternative in a way. It could be
Yeah.
super healthy. I also want to do that at some point,
Yeah.
because I'm taking care of my parents now. But
Yeah.
if we can grow our own stuff and all these things, because everything seems like you said, no, like this lady whom you mentioned, and if we can, because all times people they use like natural things, they were considered as poor,
Mm.
or like so like village type, no? But
Yes.
actually they did the most best of things. Even the bags they carried, they used to weave them. You don't have to weave it by yourself, but it
Mm.
was organic, right? Even if
Yes.
it like it fell on the ground, it would degrade by itself.
Mm.
Not like these tons of plastic, and like you have islands of plastic now, right?
Yeah.
Re- Really, there are in the oceans like islands of plastic.
Yes.
Uh, so they used to use all this fabric, and even the clothing is so comfortable. The natural fibers and all, no. So yeah, And the other thing, like because it's a monetary system, we need something to sustain. So it's good to have a plan and think a few years ahead of you, not to be like a millionaire or something like that, but just to sustain, no? Uh,
Sure.
because everything is money based now, no, usually.
Yes.
But there are some isolated remote places actually. They have their own medicines, even in COVID time.
Yes, that's
I
right.
was just telling about what I would do, like three structured way, and I
Yes.
would just try to focus on that, and I would try to learn from what the mistakes or things I did, or what were not successful, not to try to reach the skies, no, but just the basic things, and
Mm,
uh, and within the second structure is everything, no, like people associate and try to help and everything. I try to
yes.
put and keep it simpler as much as possible. Then it's
Yes.
easy to work with, right?
Mm.
So, how about you, Anthea? How would you plan or structure, or is there a way you would in your life?
Well, from listening to the way that you have would structure your internal landscape, it's brought up questions for me about helping people. And yeah, because it was started talking about when we might try to help people and we might successfully help them, but then they go in a different direction and then they come back and ask for help again. And then if you don't help, you're the worst person in the world.
Uh-huh.
So it's in, it's interesting because I've helped people in my life and really made an effort to help them.
Mhm,
And there's sort of different ways of helping, and perhaps this is something that we can talk about in
mhm.
more in depth on it for another
Another
conversation. But
conversation.
there's the help that perhaps me thinking that I know the way that I need to help them or the best way to help them, which is
Mhm,
not necessarily the best way.
mhm,
Or there's the person asking for help and me wanting to just help them. So I do what they ask me to do, but then it doesn't necessarily work out.
mhm.
So it's a interesting topic. So
Yeah, no?
perhaps I won't say too much more about that, but I will say that as I learn from experience, that the way that I perceive helping other people is a little bit different. So
Mhm,
it's not me just sort of jumping and saying, oh, I must help them and really reacting quickly. I think it's more about thinking about it and thinking, well, how can I help them? What's the best way to help them? And yeah, being a bit more thoughtful and considerate
mhm,
about that. So,
mhm.
very interesting topic as well.
Yeah, no, good topic for another time, no?
Definitely a good
Uh,
topic for another time.
and how would you like even the economic structures and all? Because I saw recently a nice video. These were youngsters, young people in Japan,
Yes,
and it's a very nice thing because they are like, I don't know what to call them exactly. We call them rickshaws here,
yes,
and these are like you keep the tourist and all in a cart, and the person pulls it.
yes.
But here, sometimes they were condemned, no, because it was kind of like racial, and there were things like that, and
Okay.
people are forced to do that. And
Yes.
then, but there it's very nice. Like people are volunteering to do that, especially young people,
Okay.
and it's a very nice thing because it's it in the video. It said in Japan, like any profession, if you're working honestly, doesn't matter which it is, no. Even if you are doing the basics of work, they respect you, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Because you see, like people degrading people according to, but sometimes they are doing a beautiful job, and for because of them, like even our places we live are very nice, no,
Yes.
and the roads are clean or many things, no, even if
Sure.
we clean a toilet,
Yes.
and if we do it honestly and purely, like and do honest job, and no, and
Mm.
that, so in that it said like in there in Japan, they respect people who work hard, and regardless of the job classification or what they, if it's honest and proper job, they
Yeah.
respect. And young people are trying. So within that range or within that ideology, how would you structure, or like do I just use the word structure? Just yeah, like my vocabulary is very small. So how would you like try to manage or face, or 2025 for that matter? No.
Okay. Well, similar to you mentioning before that you would love to sort of grow more things like food and vegetables, fruits and vegetables. And I would, my father came from a farm in
Mm-hmm.
Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that I have it in my genes that
Okay.
I love looking after animals and I love gardening and growing plants and flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would love to do more of that. And I feel that it seems that there's a call for all of us as humanity to go back to
Mm-hmm.
being like in villages and
Mm-hmm.
sharing. So, for example, if I have an orange tree and I've got plenty of
Mm-hmm.
oranges, I can say, Sandy, do you want some oranges? And if you've got
Uh-huh.
an apple tree, you can say, Anthea, do you want some apples?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Sharing. And yeah, I would love to do more of that. Uh, yeah, I think that's a really beautiful way to live if it's possible. And I think it's also really good for children to understand where food comes from, that it just doesn't come from a shop,
Mm-hmm.
that it's grown and raised and yeah, and also I'm a big believer in treating animals really ethically and well because they're beautiful beings and they offer us so much kindness and love and yeah, so really treating them in the best way possible. So where there's sort of extensive farming that doesn't really allow for that, that
Mm-hmm.
concerns me. So, yeah, maybe I'm a little bit idealistic, but I would love for, yeah, there to be opportunities for us to really, yeah, go back to perhaps a simpler way of living and getting food and, yeah, being able to
Mm-hmm.
sustain ourselves.
Because those
That's
days actually they used to like exchange food, right? Like
yeah,
yeah, and I saw a post also, like some lady, or sorry, I don't know who it was, like had put on their door, and if each person grew their own things, we could exchange food, and we don't even have to buy our food, right?
yeah,
And what we buy is not food even now.
that's right.
They can be artificially processed.
Yes,
And there are many instances they just give, like even companies hired people just to give the smell and the taste,
yes.
nothing else.
Mm,
So even oil products, like they had tons of it, or liters, like big things, no, like and it was like fermenting, no. So
yes,
there were instances they even hired like perfume makers to get the exact scent, and as soon as they were opening the cartons or something, they got like fresh juice or any smell. So they get the idea to their mind, like I'm drinking fresh juice or something, but it's
yes,
the old stocks that have been there for ages.
yeah.
So
Mm,
it's very tricky, and no wonder people are getting sicker and cancer things. These like things are, and some are like artificially processed. Some videos you see, like, oh my goodness, you wonder why they are even making these things, no?
yes.
Even like in a very crude way. Yeah? Even
Mm,
they don't consider, yeah, their own people or anything in some countries also. And even the things we see, I saw recently, like even the first world countries, no, like these are cereals for like children,
yeah,
and you see like in one country, like it's a person from their own country, they who shows like so many chemicals,
yes,
and for another country the same company, but it's all like natural juices, like fruit juices, all these kind of things. So for their people, so think of like what would they send to like uh, third world countries or other countries,
Yeah.
and no wonder people are like going through so many illnesses, no?
That's right. That's a really big passion of mine, nutrition
Uh-huh.
and the state of the soils, because in the soils have been farmed to an extent that they don't have the minerals that
Mm-hmm.
to have like a few generations ago.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we eat all the most beautiful foods and plants and meat, if we eat meat, we can't get the nutrients from our diet. So yeah, but that's another topic that I can talk
Uh-huh.
about. So yeah, that's a real passion of mine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All
Uh,
right. Well, I'm just thinking, shall we finish our conversation off now? Would
okay.
you like to do a short meditation, or should we just finish off our conversation?
Uh, how about you? Is it very late for you? It must be, right?
It's getting a little bit late.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay, then maybe no, we do it next time. We both do, right? A
time.
meditation, no?
Yeah,
Because
because
I know it's quite late there, right?
we had an unexpected
Uh,
yeah, an
Technique.
unexpected delay. So next time. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
then yeah. So thank you so much, Anthea,
you're
and
very
it's always a pleasure. And thank you everybody for participating. No, and Anthea, you do like I joined your other programs also, and please tell a little bit also so people also can get to know who would like to join. And you do like people to help with their physicality also you help, no? So
yes.
please tell a little bit about those also.
Sure, I'd love to, Sanji. So I work as a wellness coach, and basically, I'm very passionate about nutrition, as I just mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and also about people's mindset to keep positive thinking so that they have confidence. So I can help people with weight loss, weight gain, weight maintenance. I can also help people if they have specific health issues. So if you're wanting to get in touch with me to have a chat about whether I mainly work with people one-on-one coaching,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if people are wanting to have a chat with me to discuss working with me, feel free to reach out. I'm pretty much on across most social media platforms, and it's Anthea Alexander. If you Google Anthea Alexander, you'll pretty much find me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd love to hear from people if they're looking for some help.
Are there products also involved in this?
There certainly are
Are there?
products
Uh-huh.
involved in this, and I can certainly, based on people's goals and their needs and also their budget, I can recommend certain programs for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and yeah, I can basically provide a consultation free to start with. And then if we decide to start working with each other, then we can discuss it further and take it
Mm-hmm.
step by step.
Okay, wonderful. And it's always good to person who's like who loves nature and who adores nature. So then we can have some confidence, no? Like they will be guiding us through like wholesome and healthy ways, no, of life even.
Most definitely. And everything that I would recommend that somebody else do, I would do myself as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I practice what I preach.
Yeah. Okay then.
All
Okay
right,
then. You have a very good night and good
Angie.
rest, and hopefully we'll meet again. And thank you everybody for participating. No.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sanji. See you again next week.
Okay. See you. Okay. See you.